Hey story readers, it's Warren and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be sharing with you guys my favorite reads of 2017. These are books that are not just published in 2017, but all the books that I read in 2017 that I enjoyed the most. Because when I come to think of it, I don't think I actually read that many books that were specifically published this year. So I'm going to share with you guys the ones that I liked the best. There are 10 on this list, so this is technically my top 10 books of 2017. And to start off with, book number 10 is Caravelle by Stephanie Garber. This book was really interesting. It's the lowest on my list because, quite frankly, it was probably the one I least enjoyed. I might have explained this book on another video, I don't remember, but basically it's about a creepy circus carnival called Caravelle, and it follows two sisters who go into the magic carnival and have an adventure. It's very mysterious. It is dark fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. It was cool learning about the different characters and just some of the magic in this world and this magical carnival, and I definitely recommend giving it a read. I know it's very similar to the book Night Circus, which I've never read, so I don't really know how to compare it, but I just heard people say that it is very similar. But I really enjoyed it. Stephanie Garber had a really interesting world, and I'm excited for her second book, Legendary, to come out next year. But overall, it was a good read, and I think I rated this 3 stars on Goodreads. Book number 9 on my list is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake, and this book I did a review on, so you can go see the review on my channel. I'll link it in the card up here. It is a really interesting dark fantasy novel about 3 sisters who are all living in this kingdom. They're all heirs to the throne, and when they reach 16, they have to fight each other to the death, and the surviving sister is the one who wins the throne. She wins the crown, and everyone basically falls under her rule. I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars because it did feel like it had a little bit of a slow setup, and it felt like this was mainly the prologue to a bigger trilogy, so I didn't really enjoy it that much, which is why it's lower on my list, but it was really good, and after reading it, I found myself wanting to pick up the sequel. Book number 8 on my list is Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh, or Adai. I don't know how to say her last name, I'm sorry. This book is a East Asian Japanese retelling of Mulan. It's about a girl named Mariko who is the daughter of a highly respected samurai, and she is put into an arranged marriage with one of the sons of the emperor of their kingdom. And she's not really happy about that. She wants to do her own thing, and so as she departs to the capital to go and meet her future husband and travel to the imperial city, she's attacked and her caravan is burned by this group of bandits in the woods called the Black Clan. So she decides that she's going to be the hero of her own story and cuts her hair so that she can blend in as a boy and try to join the Black Clan to infiltrate their ranks and discover the mystery about why they wanted to kill her. This is the first one in a duology that came out this year, and I actually had this book signed by Renee, and she was super nice. I got to meet her at a book signing. The ending of this book was really good. It was extremely cliffhanging, so I'm excited to pick up her next book in this duology. Book number 7 is Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman, and you can see I'm still reading it, which is why I have this bookmark floating out of the top here. Norse mythology is basically a collection of all of the ancient Viking and Norse stories about the Aesir, which are the gods of Asgard, Thor, Odin, Loki, those characters that we've seen in the Marvel films and that Rick Riordan's written about. These are the original tales, the original stories. Neil Gaiman does an excellent job with talking about different tales and explaining sort of the worldview of the people who believed in the Aesir, and these are just really entertaining to read. It's really fun reading about Thor and the giants and Loki and all of his mischief, and these are written very much like fairy tales. So I can't wait to finish this series of stories, and I really want to pick up more of Neil Gaiman's works because I really like his writing. Book number 6 is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and I just started the series this year, which is why this one is on this list. After reading her ACOTAR trilogy, I really wanted more Sarah J. Maas in my life, and I picked up Throne of Glass, and I absolutely loved it. This book was awesome. I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you haven't heard or know the story of Throne of Glass, basically it follows an assassin named Selena. She is in this competition to become the king's champion, the king's assassin that he can use to dispatch to kill his enemies. And this is a story really of a battle for her freedom and her survival as an assassin. It's really awesome. It's a great story series, and I cannot wait for book 7 to come out next year. I really need to read the rest of the series and catch up. I'm glad that I got introduced to this world, and it's another series by her that I can read. I really like her worlds that she writes, and I'm excited for the rest of the series to play out. Book number 5 is 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad, and I don't have a physical copy with me because I checked it out from the library and I had to return it a few months ago. This book is about 4 teenagers from different parts of the world who win a contest with NASA to have a free trip to the moon with their newest mission. And they're going to be staying in a moon base that has been super top secret in the US government, that was built in the 1960s and no one knew it existed until now, and they're going to to that moon base to assess it and to spend about a week there as they do scientific experiments and do projects and stuff like that. Just all the space mission stuff. And when they get there, they find out that they are not alone and that there are some forces at work that are very deadly and horrific. And it was just a cool sci-fi chilling space thriller, and I really enjoyed it. I was not expecting it to be a horror novel. I was thinking it was going to be a space adventure, but when I realized that there are some things in it that definitely make it scary, I really just loved it. I won't spoil the book, but the ending of the book was so mind-boggling and didn't make any sense whatsoever, and I loved that. That was awesome. It's what I like about books, is when the endings are just leaving you with like this dead stare. You have no idea what's happening. That's just such good writing. So I definitely gave this book 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I really enjoyed that. It was one of my favorite reads of this year. Number 4 on this list is Geek Arella by Ashley Poston. And this book is a modern contemporary retelling of the Cinderella story. And it's about a girl named Elle who is obsessed with this sci-fi TV show. It's kind of like Star Trek. It's an old show from the 80s, and they are recently making a new, rebooted, updated version of it into a movie. And she's not too happy about that because the main actor of the movie is someone that she thinks is not fit for the role of her favorite character. So the book is about Elle and her passion for this TV show and her relationship with the main actor of the series. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I was so surprised by how good this was, because most Cinderella retellings are pretty predictable, or they're kind of sappy, or they're just cliche, but this book was just phenomenal. It was so unique and so different, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I loved the different parallels they had from the original Cinderella story to this book. Overall, I just absolutely adored this book. I read it over the summertime, and it was so great. So I gave this book 5 stars as well, of course. The cover itself also won me over. I love how beautiful the cover is with these sunset purple and pink colors. The title, as you can see here, is like shimmering, and it's got stars. And on the front here is Elle and her magic pumpkin food truck, which you can guess what that parallel is. And then on the back here, it has the main guy character, who I forgot his name now, but anyways, he's the main actor, and you have his movie trailer for the TV show. And I definitely want to read more from Ashley Poston. Number 3, we're getting close now. My 3rd favorite book of this year was definitely Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is the first year that I've ever read Dracula. I picked it up to read for Halloween this past year, and I did a review on this book as well if you want to go check it out. I did this cool thing. I dressed up like Dracula, and I made the video black and white to make it look like an old Halloween movie, and I like turned all the books on my shelf upside down. It was really fun to make that review. This book was such an amazing classic. This is a masterpiece, and I absolutely loved it. I just devoured this thing, pun intended. It is the story of Dracula, the original vampire who just set the standard for all Halloween horror genre after that. It was written in the 1800s, so reading the characters speak in this elegant Old English way was just absolutely enjoyable. I've made it a tradition now that I want to read this book every Halloween. This book most definitely got 5 stars. Book number 2 on my list is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and I picked up this series this year as well, and I was not too interested into it after reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. It just seemed interesting but kind of weird, but when I picked up Akamath, oh my goodness, this book was just absolutely a masterpiece within itself. I loved every page of this book. It was so good. This book was just such an epic fantasy, and it had such great writing and great characters. I love Feyre. She's probably my favorite YA character right now. And Rhysand was also amazing, and both of them together are just my OTP. I love Faysand forever. I am definitely going to make a review for this book. 2018, I'm reviewing the entire series before Aquafast comes out. Basically, it was awesome. I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was such a great journey to go on reading this book and following these characters through the 600 plus pages. This book is what won my heart for Sarah J. Maas. This is what got me into all of her books. After this, I just knew I was going to love everything that she wrote. And just the moments in here, the characters and the magic, it's just all just this huge encompassing fantasy world. And it was something that I don't really see a lot of books like this nowadays. Most YA books are sadly becoming increasingly cliche, but this book was different, it was fresh and unique, and I really loved it. I'm so happy that I picked this one up because this book has just forever changed how much I love reading. And book number 1, my favorite number 1 book of 2017 is, you've probably already guessed it, it's not hard to figure out, and that is none other than A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Like I said said, I just loved her series, and this book really did it for me with this series. Akamath was amazing. I love it with all my heart, but this book was the conclusion of this series. The characters were at their fullest power, their fullest potential, because in Akamath, Farah is still getting acquainted to this world. She's still meeting the characters and learning about her abilities, but in this book, the learning is over. The time for action has come. All the characters in this book are just reaching their full potential, their fullest of everything, and this book was so well paced for a grand finale. It wasn't too fast, and it didn't feel too slow either. I read this book with one of my good Instagram friends, and the two of us buddy read this book in a week. We powered through this, and we read 100 pages every day, and this book has 700 pages in it, so 100 pages per day. We finished it in about a week. I didn't know what to do with myself after I finished it. There was a couple of days where I just was in this slump because I didn't want to read anything else after this book, because it left me on such a good note that I just didn't really want to ruin my feels for it by reading something else. And this book in particular, and the message of this entire series, which is to fight for what you love, fight for your happiness, absolutely just rings home with me in my heart. They have a special court in my heart. I cannot wait to read A Court of Frost and Starlight, coming out next May. It's gonna be super fun. So this is why this is the #1 book of 2017 for me. And of course, I gave this a 5-star rating. So those are my favorite books of 2017. 2017 was a really good reading year for me. The books I read this year were just really interesting. They took me on great adventures. I am really excited for 2018. There's a lot of books coming out this next year that look good, and I'm excited to pick them up and read them and review them on this channel as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to check out my other video, which is the worst books of 2017, the ones I hated. Check that video out. I'll link it in the card up here as well. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you guys read these books this year. Did you think they were as great as I did? Did you enjoy them as much as I did, or did you not? Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Bye!